What if your fitness tracker stopped asking how your heart is doing and actually started asking how your left quad and your right hamstring are doing right now?
I mean, it would completely change the game.
Wow.
Flipping that focus from systemic, whole body metrics down to localized muscle performance, it literally rewrites the rules of recovery.
Right. And welcome to this custom-tailored deep dive. Our mission today is to unpack a massive, potentially industry-defining strategic shift from Garmin.
Yeah. And we aren't just looking at isolated rumors here. We are connecting the dots.
Exactly. We're looking at recent trademark filings, API developer lockouts, leaked internal surveys, and just revealing this completely new physiological ecosystem they seem to be building.
And we really need to establish where this is coming from, because the insights today rely heavily on the team over at the 5krunner.com.
Which, for anyone who doesn't know, is one of the most technically detailed and independently tested review platforms available for endurance and performance tech.
Yeah, they really do the groundwork. And looking at their coverage, the leaks are, well, they're concrete. We have 2 recent trademark filings from Garmin.
Right, and the first one is for something called CIRQA, spelled CIRQA.
Yeah, which strongly points to a recovery and performance wearable platform.
Right.
Like a Whoop competitor, essentially.
Yeah, and the name itself is a big deal, right? Because people assume the rumors were just about the word CIRQA, like approximate. But no, this is a branded platform.
Exactly. And the second trademark is for something called Muscle Battery. And this is specifically tied to an algorithm that processes muscle oxygen saturation, or SMO2.
Right. And I think it's important to emphasize why this actually matters. Like, why should you care about a trademark filing?
Well, because trademark filings actually require a declared use. I mean, this isn't just speculative R&D or some dusty patent they threw in a drawer.
Yeah, it means they are planning to use it.
Right. It indicates near-term product reality. Garmin is building something real.
It's like a puzzle. These aren't just 2 random product drops. They are pieces of a much larger, cohesive strategy that's basically about to change how we all train.
But to understand why muscle battery is such a massive deal, we first have to really understand the underlying metric, which is SMO2.
Right, muscle oxygen. So what exactly is that?
So SMO2 is local muscle oxygen saturation. It's the percentage of hemoglobin that is actually saturated with oxygen in the capillaries of one specific muscle.
Oh, wow. So it's not whole body.
No, not at all. It's measured using near-infrared spectroscopy, or NIRS. It is entirely site-specific.
Okay, I like to think of it like an analogy. Tracking your heart rate is like looking at your car's overall dashboard to see how hard the engine is working.
Yeah, exactly.
But measuring SMO2 is like putting a sensor directly on the left front tire to see exactly how much tread is wearing down on that specific corner.
That is a perfect way to put it. Because unlike heart rate or power, SMO2 doesn't have these simple, predictable zones.
Right, like with heart rate, zone 2, zone 5, it just goes up linearly.
Exactly. But with SMO2, interpretation depends entirely on absolute values. The direction of the trend like? Is it depleting or replenishing? And the context.
Like whether you're resting or you're mid-interval or just completely fatigued.
Yeah. So a reading of, say, 40% could mean you're recovering if the trend is going up or failing if the trend is going down. SMO2 isn't just a new data field on your watch.
It's a fundamentally different class of physiological data entirely.
Right. And because it's so incredibly complex and because it lacks those standard zones we're used to, handing raw NIRS data to an average consumer is basically useless.
Oh, totally. You'd just be staring at bouncing percentages on your screen, having no idea what it actually means.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is exactly why Garmin needs Muscle Battery. Garmin isn't just adding a hardware sensor.
They need an algorithmic layer.
Yes. Muscle Battery is that proprietary algorithmic translation. It takes the raw, chaotic SMO2 data and turns it into digestible insights.
Like readiness, fatigue, recovery terms we actually understand.
Right. But the challenge there is huge. The variability with NIRS is insane.
Yeah.
Your sensor placement, your individual body composition, the specific muscle you choose, all of that changes the raw data.
So Muscle Battery is trying to be the first consumer-friendly abstraction of local muscular readiness.
Yeah, doing for your muscles what Body Battery did for systemic HRV and central nervous system stress.
But if Garmin is actually going to track local muscle oxygen, they have a massive physical constraint, don't they?
Oh, huge. Because it is scientifically impossible to do this from the wrist.
Right. The optical elevate sensor on the back of a Garmin watch, the one with the green flashing lights, that cannot measure SMO2.
No, it can't. NIRS sensors require placement directly on the working muscle. They have to be shielded from ambient light.
And the near-infrared light has to penetrate deep enough to actually bypass the subcutaneous fat layer, right?
Exactly. So the major implication here is that Garmin absolutely must be launching new dedicated hardware.
Wait, so are people really going to buy separate modular sensors and, like, strap them to their quads and hamstrings at the local gym? That seems like a big ask.
I mean, for the data nerds and the serious athletes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because tracking overall readiness really requires multi-sensor setups.
For left and right comparisons?
Yeah, left-right asymmetry, specific muscle isolation. You can't get that from a single watch on your left wrist.
That makes sense. And if Garmin does build this hardware, they're entering a space that already exists, but it's, highly fragmented.
Very fragmented. You have the Moxie monitor, which is basically the gold standard right now. It's scientifically validated.
Yeah, used by elites like Christian Blumenfeld.
Exactly. Then you have Train.red, which is for martinis. They package clinical-grade tech for consumers, and they support multiple sensors.
And there was also NNOXX, which measured nitric oxide alongside SMO2, though I saw a commenter over on the 5corunner.com note that they might have actually gone bust recently.
Yeah, which just shows how tough this market is. Currently, this ecosystem is super niche, it's fragmented, and it totally lacks integrated software.
Right, you have the hardware, but no easy way to read the data. And that would be Garmin's superpower, right? Unifying the hardware, the muscle battery algorithms, and the mass market software all into one seamless experience.
Exactly. And the reason Garmin is pushing so hard into muscle metrics is because traditional wearables drastically undervalue the physiological toll of strength training.
Oh, 100%. Like heart rate totally misses the true cost of lifting.
Yeah.
If you do a heavy deadlift session, it barely registers on traditional cardiovascular training load. You feel like you got run over by a truck and your watch tells you that you just did a light 20-minute walk.
It leaves athletes with completely skewed recovery data. Now, Whoop has kind of led the market here recently with their passive MSK feature, which they released back in February 2026.
Right, but they use kinematics, right? Like accelerometer and gyroscope data combined with body mass to estimate the muscular load.
Exactly. It's a really good estimate. They claim 97% lab repeatability, but it is still just an estimate. Garmin wants to measure the actual local oxygen cost.
Which brings us to that leaked Garmin survey from the 5krunner.com. They detailed 8 advanced strength concepts that Garmin was testing on users.
Yeah, things like a neuromuscular readiness score or a muscle map for recovery. And it looks like these are designed for a new 3-tier subscription system.
Likely tied to Connect Plus and maybe $7 a month. But Garmin isn't just focusing on strength training features. They are actively walling off their garden to own this space.
Oh, the API lockout is ruthless. Garmin is deliberately refusing to give third-party developers the ad set function in the KinetiQ API.
Wait, really? So they're actively breaking apps like Heavy?
Effectively, yes. If you use a third-party app to track your lifts, Garmin won't let it write natively into their system.
I know there was a workaround mentioned by the Rack app using BLE Bluetooth Low Energy to sync directly, but the intent from Garmin is clear.
Yeah, they want you using their SMO2 hardware and their muscle battery algorithm.
Hey.
They are forcing the ecosystem to remain closed.
Okay, so let's connect all the dots here. This is the ultimate thesis of the deep dive.
Yeah, the grand unification.
Right. So CIRQA is the Whoop-like platform. It's the subscription layer, the Connect Plus tie-in, the always-on recovery tracker.
And Muscle Battery is the advanced insight algorithmic layer running on top of it.
And then the unnamed NIRS hardware is the missing input device feeding that algorithm.
Exactly. You synthesize all that, and it's clear Garmin is building a fully integrated, vertically controlled strength and recovery ecosystem.
It's massive. But if this ecosystem works, what does it actually look like for you, the listener, in the gym or out on the track? Let's talk training use cases.
For endurance, it's a game changer. You get real-time pacing, objective threshold detection like finding your VT1 and VT2 without going to a lab.
And you can actually identify whether your limiter is your heart or your local muscles?
Right. Yes. You can track exactly how well a specific muscle is recovering during the rest period of an interval session.
That is wild. And for strength training.
You can track intraset fatigue depth. You can detect left-right asymmetries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you can validate if you're actually creating enough metabolic stress for hypertrophy.
I think it's amazing. Shifting from guessing how long to rest between squat sets based on a generic timer on your phone to resting exactly as long as it takes for your quad's oxygen levels to physiologically replenish.
It makes everything totally objective. But before we get too excited, we have to ground this in reality because SMO2 is incredibly finicky tech.
Oh, the hard problems. Yeah. Let's talk about those.
First is placement inconsistency. If you place the sensor even 1 centimeter away from where you had it yesterday, the baseline data changes.
Oh, man. So that ruins session-to-session comparisons.
Completely, unless Garmin has some magic software to normalize it. Then there's signal quality. Thicker subcutaneous body fat physically degrades the NRS signal.
Because the light just can't penetrate deep enough to reach the muscle.
Exactly. And on top of that, tracking overall readiness requires data from multiple muscles.
Right.
One sensor on your quad doesn't tell you if your upper body is recovered.
So, I mean, the million-dollar question here is Garmin actually going to be able to make this actionable, or is this just going to be a bunch of really interesting but totally useless data for data nerds?
It's a huge technical hurdle, but Garmin has a massive R&D budget. If anyone can solve the noise and algorithm side to make it consumer-friendly, it's them.
Which brings us back to the big picture. We are basically looking at the dawn of a new era for Garmin.
Yeah, moving way beyond just heart rate and into local muscle oxygen via CIRQA and muscle battery.
Right. And I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. Because for decades, we have all worshipped at the altar of the cardiovascular system, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything is heart rate, VO2 max, HRV.
Exactly. But if Garmin successfully shifts the paradigm to localized, objective muscular readiness, will our traditional cardio-based training metrics eventually feel like blunt, obsolete instruments?
I mean, if you can know exactly what your left quad is experiencing in real time, looking at a general heart rate number is going to feel like a step backward.
It really is. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been great.
We'll see you next time.